Hello, my loves. I'm Ellie Frost, and I help people rapidly and radically heal and break free from narcissistic abuse. And this video today is about the female narcissist parent. So I'm going to just talk completely about my own personal experience of that, right? And I'm going to do other videos on the female narcissist friend, the female narcissist lover. But let's look at the parent, right? And I'll tell you some of the things that I experienced as a child. So one is, if you have a female narcissist, especially parent, you may feel that they have an intense hatred for you. Ever since I was a little girl, I could feel that from my mum. Like, she hated me. There was like a hatred, right? Completely weird, because we're taught to believe that women are mothers and they're nurturers, and so when it comes from a woman, I don't know, there's something different about it. Like, it feels so counterintuitive. I'm not saying it's right for either, like a man or a woman, to be narcissistic towards a child, but there is something, I don't know, that can feel even, well, for me personally, it feels even more off. So I mean, with my mother, she was incredibly critical. She was a real bully. She would bully me. I was very timid. I was very afraid of her. She would constantly criticize me. She wouldn't let me be involved in any normal mother-daughter things. Like, I was never allowed in her room. And like, she'd come back, and sort of scream at me and say, "Have you been in there? Have you touched my things?" There was no trying on clothes or jewelry or cooking together. I was never allowed in the kitchen. She was actually a great cook, and I would love to have been involved in things like that. Never allowed that. I was never allowed any friends in the house. I was constantly belittled. As I developed as a teenager, she showed jealousy. I think because I was young and she probably thought attractive. But my mother, like many female narcissists, was very vain. Like, her appearance was everything. I remember going to visit her once, and it was during the winter. She hadn't paid the gas bill, so the house was freezing, but she bought this brand new Armani suit and she was kind of boasting about it, right? But I mean, it was just bizarre. But there was this like feeling of hatred, and like she would always exclude me from everything. So I had a brother, he was her golden child, so she would do everything with him, almost like in a relationship. They have very strange dynamics with their kids. So it was more like my brother was her partner more than my dad was. And I was always then, with my dad. And I'm talking about, like, you would go on family events. So say we went to Disney World. I wasn't, my mother would go off my brother. I would be with my dad. But, like, I was never allowed to be with her. She never included me. I can remember being about 4 years old, and, my brother used to be allowed to sit on her lap. I'd never be allowed to sit on her lap. She never showed me any love. She never showed me any kindness. She never showed me any kind of maternal instincts whatsoever. She used to talk a lot about how she didn't like children. She dread the school holidays because there'd be more kids around. So it wasn't just me she hated. She didn't like children apart from my brother. But the behavior was cruel. Like, it was belittling. It was constant criticism. It was zero support. There was zero empathy. There was zero compassion, zero kindness. And as I got older, there definitely was a lot of jealousy. So, female narcissists are vain. Like, my mother was incredibly vain. They care about their appearance and their image. They want to look good. They're very, very critical. They'll shoot you down. So will male ones. And they'll take credit for your achievements. So that, female narcissists, you often see them in celebrity families where they'll push the child into stardom young because the mother wants to live that life, right? So they live vicariously through their children. They'll take credit for your achievements. I was a very high achiever at school. I can remember, like, after all the damage they did to me, it was so crazy to me that I had a very successful career for a long time. And I can remember her saying things like, I must have done everything right. Look how you've turned out, as if, somehow, to be honest, in spite of all the cruelty, she put me through, somehow I did manage to hold it together for quite a while in my life. Then I fell apart, as a lot of children of, trauma and abuse do. But she would, like a lot of narcissists do, you know, they'll take credit for your achievements as if they're to do with it, right? When actually she did everything, like a lot of narcissistic parents do, to sabotage me, you know? I would have been so much further ahead if I hadn't have gone through that. And I can remember the fear, you know, so I used to have her come to my house and at least once a month, and I'd take her out and buy her dinners and everything, you know, that they like. But I mean, the fear and the dread of seeing her, it would affect me for weeks. And then the fear and the dread after she'd gone, I'd never enjoyed her company. I was always on tenterhooks. I was always frightened of her. So they're really, I don't know, there's a nastiness, like I think honestly, narcissism is quite evil as it is. Like the things they do are cruel. She was very neglectful. She wouldn't call me by my name. She called me she a lot. And yeah, it was extremely difficult. So with a female narcissistic parent, I think they've got the traits of normal narcissists, apart from they are often much more vain, much more image focused, you know, in terms of their physical appearance. They will be jealous of especially females, right? They will do all the normal things that narcissists do, but there is something, I think, even more sinister sometimes when it comes from a woman. I don't know why. Like, maybe that's just my perception, but like, I don't know, it just feels so unnatural. You know, I suppose it's because we expect men to be a little bit emotionally distant, whereas with a woman, we think that they're going to be very connected. If you grow up with a female narcissist, right, you're probably, like, I know that I was not good at taking care of myself. I wasn't taught any self-care, right? I developed an eating disorder in my teenage years, very common with people that go through this kind of abuse. I didn't know how to take care of my needs. I was never nurtured. I never had that nurture, caring thing. I remember my friend saying, even the way I brushed my hair used to be really like aggressive, you know? I wouldn't do anything kind of nurturing to myself. So one thing to heal is start nurturing and mothering yourself, right? Start bringing, you know, self-care. A lot of us neglect our bodies, and a lot of us neglect our health, and a lot of us neglect our appearance even, right? Our homes, our cleaning, like things like that after this, right? We weren't really taught how to self-care. I was definitely beyond neglected, like definitely abused. But the female narcissist cares about what other people think, like any narcissist does, right? They will use their children, like any narcissist does, to improve their image, but often neglect them or abuse them behind the scenes. You know, they won't show the things that we expect from a normal mother at all. And that feeling, that evidence of hatred for you and neglect is massive. My mother used to do things all the time to try and humiliate me. I was very shy and timid when I was younger. I used to think I was shy. I'm not shy as a person, actually. Once I healed, you know, I was just traumatized, right? And she would try and humiliate me in front of her friends, embarrass me. When I started experimenting with things like makeup, you know, she would really chronically ridicule me. She never even taught me, I don't know if I should share this, but, you know, when I came on my periods, she never taught me, you know, anything about that. You know, they don't teach you the basics like a normal mother would. You know, it's all about them, right? And if you're not the golden child and you're just someone to be jealous of, right? Because I was getting attention when I started getting to like 15, 16, that kind of stuff, right? And she got even more spiteful, just because people were giving me attention and not her, right? So they do all the normal things. I just think it can have a different impact on you when you're dealing with a female, and they do tend to be more image, like physical image focused, and also critical of yours, right, a lot of the time. So yeah, do share your experiences if you've grown up with a narcissistic mother. What have you found are different about dealing with females? I think I'm going to do one on female friends and female lovers as well. Lots of love. I'll speak to you soon.